And now we will talk about, it's not going to be, lecture and presentation, but we will talk about really what is global leadership, what is global citizenship, and we will talk about, what would be the definition and what's the clear idea among us and from our ideas. So we want to share, we want everybody, every of you engaged to the discussion, and feel free to raise your hand or raise your voice. So Samuel will lead our discussion group, and Samuel is my old friend also, and he's from Harvard School of Education. And he loves Korean. Everything about Korean. And so he loves me, I love it.
Dinner.
Oh, cool.
I'm thoroughly embarrassed. So thank you so much.
Christian man, so everyone knows.
Yes, thank you.
I'm just proud. I'm just proud to have you. Who loves Korean things. Alright, go ahead.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here again, and I want to sort of get us started. There's about less than 45 minutes to have this discussion. The discussion before us was wonderful. Thank you guys so much for your presentation. I don't know how I could follow up with that, but I wish there was more time even to go deeper. I know Keith was talking to Sook about even just unpacking what we just heard earlier. But for right now, I think we're going to talk about leadership in a sense. You've heard the saying, think globally, or think globally, act locally. And so I think we're going to bring all that global discussion down to a local perspective. We're going to talk about us in this room. We are going to have a conversation, I hope, and it's up to us. I'm going to facilitate. We're going to be in this together. And so I'm just going to get started straightforward. And we're going to do the introductions again, but for a good reason. So so this is our roadmap for this time. And we've even literally, Wei Shan, thank you for being my scribe. Tom, I was going to ask you for having a time. Could you have a time? Do you know how to? Keeping us on track.
Do you really want a timer?
I really do want it. So please, Kale, thank you for taking leadership there. So you are part of the conversation, the scribe and the timer, but we're going to do this in a very efficient time and enjoy this. Enjoy this well.
What's the first time? 12 minutes?
No. I'll tell you as we go through it. So when we start introductions. But first, let me just get us through the roadmap. So we're going to introduce ourselves again, but in a unique way, and Wei Shan has kindly typed there how we're going to talk about this. I'll start to sort of give us an example about that. The objective of our discussion, I don't know. This is a leadership challenge for me. I got an email from Chong and Sook about 48 hours ago saying that they need someone to facilitate a leadership discussion. So we are all in this together. We are all in this together. So because this could go any direction, but we'll try to keep it focused. I personally love to talk about leadership at sort of a personal level. I remember being in when I was in grad school at the Ed School at Harvard and meeting a Taiwanese friend, and she talked about why she's studying psychology. And she says, we spend so much time and resources looking out into space, into the world. And she says, I want to spend some effort in looking into myself and who am I. And so that's what I hope part of our discussion will hit on today. Why these two are taking on such an incredible project. What personally, other than just trying to change the world and be good do-gooders, why is this so important to them? And why are you here today? And why what your passions are important to you, and how we can all sort of use those and use those resources and learn from each other. So objective, we'll figure that out. The type of so one of the questions I was going to ask, the objective and the type of leadership, those two are sort of be flexible with us. We'll see how we get through that. And then we're going to have a time to pair and share, sort of like in pairs, talk between your pairs, and then we're going to report out after that. We'll have 15 minutes or maybe less for that. Some final thoughts or closing thoughts, and then we're going to do feedback about what the time we spent together, sort of the strengths and the weaknesses of our time together. So I'm going to quickly go around. I'll start. I had the benefit of having the script to introduce myself, so and hopefully you follow in that model. So we're asking for, and then this is where Caleb, you come in. Okay. 40 seconds. If I talk more than 40 seconds, say time. 40 seconds. We can get through this whole room in 40 seconds, and also be able to share something that gets us to know who you are in a very deep way. So the question is, your name. And we've already heard your name. We have those beautiful name tags that you're wearing, but your name in terms of what the meaning of your name is, and I should put it on there. So what does your name mean? What is the meaning of your name? Your parents. Who are your parents? Who are the people, the community, and the people you're coming from? So we're having a test.
40 seconds are over.
Test trial. Are we ready? And so I would like to know sort of the meaning of your names, and not be distracted by an iPhone.
I'm just trying to make something that's just not so awful.
No, actually, you don't make the noise. You say it.
No, this will make a noise. I won't make a noise.
Okay. I think it's better for you because people will feel better that you say,
Oh,
"Oh,
all right,
excuse me," not a machine.
Let me see if I can make a noise now.
Yeah. So, and sort of basically, who are you? Who are you coming from? And that I think we'll get that from who your parents are. And finally, where do you call home? This question is very sort of interesting questions. And there's some of you from many places, or places that you've lived that have shaped you. So, Caleb, I'm ready to start as soon as you're ready to start.
And go.
Okay. So, I was born in Nigeria, and my father is a math teacher at a girls' college. My mother, an English teacher at a high school. They're both people of very deep faith. They named me Samuel, which is a biblical name. It means one who hears and listens to God. And had 6 children. I'm the eldest of the 6. They were moved by their faith and found a way to move to America in 1991 to be missionaries to America. We left all we had back in Nigeria, family and a lot of personal items, and left and came in through New York City. First place I came in.
Time.
That's time? Okay, so that's it. I call home Texas. Jump in, anybody.
Okay, I'll go. My name is Keith Martinez. My mom told me that she didn't really remember the reason that she called me that. It meant something about strong. Actually, what I came to discover after realizing why I didn't grow up speaking Spanish was because actually as a product of an assimilated child, my full name is Keith Andrew Martinez. That was something that, because immigrants were seen as sort of inferior and faced a lot of stigma, it was how a lot of immigrants, first-generation immigrants, responded to trying to raise their children in an environment to have sort of better access to opportunities in the U.S. I've been to Japan, Korea, and China to really explore alternative mindsets of thinking, living, and learning. And that's something that's been really influential to me, and part of why I've continued to study social anthropology as well as education.
Time.
No, you can finish
Well,
up.
yeah.
No,
We'll stand. Hold on.
I'll yield my time.
But do you want me to keep doing it just like
Perfect.
that? Every 40 seconds, just say time.
Just give them a sense that wrap it up.
Okay.
What ways can we do that to make this efficient? What's the best way to do that?
The sound. I think the sound was good because I mean that's music. No?
I think if you're the timekeeper, you can just raise. And
Yes, yeah, kind of, sort of.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
I'm going to raise my hand at 30 seconds.
Okay.
So that means you have
Like
10
this
seconds
and
left.
then maybe this is more
Can we
trouble
make
than
it
I
a
thought.
tiny bit longer?
This is more trouble. Yes, let's
Let's
go.
make it a minute.
Okay,
A minute
good.
is
Good.
going to be enough.
A minute pitch.
Yeah.
So do you want to just finish your statement?
I think I'm done.
Okay. All right. Who's next?
Oh, I did mention actually about my parents. Sorry, they are both teachers. They were both teachers.
Okay. So it's interesting. Thank you.
I'm Bridget, and let's see, my parents are awesome, and we're in Colorado. That's what I call home. South America has shaped me a lot. I traveled there when I was 19 for 6 weeks, booked a plane ticket a week ahead of time, and I was like, I'm going backpacking. And teaching, my high school experience has always impacted me also. I did the IB program. Don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but loved that too.
Okay, I'm Tom from Japan. My parents are both Japanese, but my dad liked China, so he named my name after Chinese meaning. I have a younger brother, and meaning of my name is elder brother. And my dad strongly disagreed with me when I decided to come here to study internationally. But obviously he's agreed now for me to be here. So that's it.
Alright, my name is Sook-Young, which made by Chinese character. Sook means pure, and Young means forever, so I'm pure forever girl. So I was born and raised in Korea until after. So I went to college in Korea, so kind of Korean. So and my parents, they are kind of I would say the typical types of Korean parents. and who kind of push their kids to get a higher degree and higher education, get a better job. But by the way, I'm kind of the always making trouble child for them, and my mom kind of agree that okay. She said I think you should go to America because that culture fits you more. Okay, I'm going.
10 seconds.
All right, so that's why I'm here. As I will call my home Seoul in Korea.
I will go. My Chinese name has the character of mountain in it. So my parents raised me somehow like a boy, so they want me to climb mountains and constantly making progress. They are both engineers, but they put a high value on education. This is what I'm very grateful for. So I would call my first home, of course, where I'm from, China, because it's my cultural identity. But I would also call here my second home, especially my spiritual home, because this is where I accept. I was brought into the kingdom of God, and then I'm so blessed by sisters and brothers around me.
I'll go. I have two names. My first name is Pınar. It's spring water in Turkish. And Burcu is beautiful smell, generally used in the literature. And my first name comes because my father worked for Turkish government, so they have been traveling in Turkey and outside of Turkey. So with a very close friend of my parents had their baby, and she was named Pınar. And then my second name came, like in their neighborhood, there was a very sweet girl, just I think 4 or 5 years older than me now. She was so sweet and so cute, so they wanted to have a daughter like her, who is so sweet. So then that's why I was named Burcu. That's what I use as my everyday life, my name. And they have been also, like I'm the youngest of 4 children, and all did PhDs and all traveled the world and studied abroad. And my parents wanted us to be getting to know other people, getting higher education, but also not to just to contribute to ourselves, but also to wider community, not to just to Turkey, everywhere. So I think I grew up with these values that everyone are equal and just to get to know other people. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
I'll go. Mustafa, I'm originally from Turkey. So I have 2 names in Turkey. We have 2 names usually. So my first name is probably coming from the founder of Turkish Republic, Atatürk, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. And I use the name Türker, which means like brave Turk or something. But in States, I don't use that name because it's hard to pronounce for American people. My father is a retired surgeon and mother is a retired private school teacher. And I used to live in Turkey up until 11 years ago. I came here for school and started working here. And I've been working in Boston area for 8 years now as a software product manager. So my back life in Turkey and here is a good combination of what I am today, and I can't call a place for home. It's like anywhere and nowhere is my place. It doesn't matter. I think I see myself as a global citizen now. And then I feel so lucky that I came to Boston and my mindset changed. Because Turkey was a box country and now it's like Boston is a borderless place. And then, so I think I can count myself as a global citizen. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gianni. My last name is Wu, as the Wu-Tang Clan. Anyway, the name means good girl. So they actually named me after like a genetist in China who do all kinds of crazy stuff, but unfortunately that didn't carry on that path. My dad works in the media field and my mom works in the business field, and I'm the only child thanks to the one-child policy in China, which are causing great problems for the society right now because we have more people retiring and less people working and provide support for the society. Where I call home is basically everywhere that I feel happy, surrounded by friends, networks, and yeah, I think that's global citizenship, right? You don't have a particular home, but you have a global mindset. So my belief is technology is a new type of language. So all the kids have to to learn it and manipulate at their fingertips and become globally educated and surpass the physical boundaries. That's it.
I'm Zach. I think the name that I'm most interested in telling you about is my middle name, which is Enyo or Enyo, Americanized. My grandfather's name. I feel honored that my parents gave me that name because my grandfather, I think, is like kind of the epic hero of our family. He is an immigrant, or he was an immigrant. He died recently, but he lived what I would consider, the American dream, and valued education very much and passed that along to my mother, who I think raised us to think in that frame, that we as people should reach to the highest heights of our spirit and should do our best to be good to others. My dad is a social worker, moved from New York City to help other people, and I think that the combination of those two things have been a miracle for me. My home, it's funny because I really do want to work on my global citizenship. I think that you can see that through my work and through what I value, but I would say my home is it's deeply rooted in New Hampshire, and that I'm very, very, I have a very strong network and community that I always feel drawn back to in my town, which I value. And then I also have been very deeply influenced by East Africa, and then my other home, I think, is the classroom, which I miss very much as I do United Classrooms. So.
I can go. Somebody wants to go? Yeah, my name is Lucio. My name actually means light, and I think my mother gave me this because of I was born in July, and in the past a lot of kids that were born in July, especially during the Roman period, was named Lucio. It means Luce comes from Luce light, and actually I don't know why, because I was born at 9 p.m. So but I bet that in July there's a lot of light. So, and besides that, it's interesting that both my parents had an experience as a teachers. So both my father was teaching actually language, and then he switched and later on his career. And my mother too was a pedagogist. I don't know if it exists still this term. Yeah, but then they both switched to other professions later on. Okay. And we always make fun with Sook. I call my home nothing. I feel myself like homeless. Really. I don't have a home. I don't know how many of you guys have a home, but I don't have it. I mean, you keep renting, going around, but you don't have a home. So until I think you don't really
You have a
settle
home
down.
in your mind.
Yeah, I mean, but physically I don't feel it to have it, and even when I'm gonna have it, I think I will like my status of homeless. Yeah, that's it.
So my name is Yuka. My Chinese characters mean in Japanese we use Chinese characters. So my first U means friends, Ka means smell or scent. So smell of friends, or not. Yeah. So some people say smelly friends, but my parents wanted me to have lots of friends. So to the extent that I smell like my friends. So I guess. But so my parents, my father is retired, but he used to work in a travel agency, and my mom used to be a teacher for kids with disabilities. And so where I call my home is Japan, and maybe Boston, but Japan, I think. And yeah, I usually all my life I went against what my parents tell me to do. So my parents are always in against like foreign countries, or they're full of stereotypes. But I always go against what they tell me to do. So now I'm here.
Oh, I didn't go. My name is. Oh, where's someone else gonna go?
You are.
Oh, go, go.
No, I was just gonna check if everybody comes down. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go. I'll wait.
Okay. So my name is Leah, which means weary one. I don't know why I was named that before midnight. I'm not very weary, And my mom is a gifted and talented teacher in an elementary school in my hometown. My dad is a music teacher in Maine and is constantly carrying around like some sort of big tuba thing and tooting around on it. I call my home right now with my family in Maine, but I also dream of creating a home, so a place with a river and people that I love and a fire pit out back and maybe a goat.
Goat.
Are you last?
Am I the last one?
I haven't gone.
Oh.
Wei Shan hasn't gone.
Oh.
My name is Wei Shan. There are two Chinese characters in my name, and the first Wei means in the morning because I was born in the morning. Shan means late because I was born after a due date. And my parents, they used to work for a state-owned enterprise, and they're retired now. But as I grow up, I can deeply feel the genes that I got from them. The place that I will call home, I think my hometown, I was born in the southern part of China, and I will always call that my home. And I think in the future where I'm going to settle down is going to be called home. And places that have shaped me, I believe that's a city in China that's called Xi'an, where I carried out my undergrad and graduate student there, and also Shanghai, where I'm doing my current doctoral program, and here in Boston, where my mind was blown and totally open here, and that's the places that have been shaping me.
And so, my name is Caleb, which means bold dog and good messenger. 3 different meanings. My father is a retired Episcopalian minister. My mother has been through several different types of jobs, starting off as a nurse, working in public housing, writing short stories and children's books. And then for me, I'm at home now. It doesn't really matter. I'm heavily influenced by the culture of India and the teachings and the Vedic teachings of India, of the ancient world in general. And yeah, home for me is very much just everywhere. So.
I'm Chong. My full name is Chong-Young, which means smartness or intelligence in Korea. So my friends used to call me. They added basically "an" in front of my name, which gonna transformed into no intelligence. That's what my friends used to call me. And my parents, my dad used to work for a Hyundai company, Hyundai car, and he basically has his own business right now, engineering. And my mom used to work for the Korean government. And my home, 580 Commonwealth Avenue across the street. I mean, saying physically, yeah. I feel, of course, my home is back in Korea. I feel more comfortable with my parents, but I think I'm changing to seeing Boston as my home. So, yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. Through our discussions, or sort of our introductions, I found some interesting themes. We have troubled children. We have people that have names that mean mountain and progress. We come from homes and families with educators, soldiers, social workers, people that have done work in enterprise, and ministers. We all have different cultural identities. Some of us come from very educated families. Others have cultures where they were named, would have 2 different names. And in regards to home, some people call home anywhere, nowhere. Some are homeless. We have one good girl in the room, and then we have one only child, or we have folks from single child. Those that are from a single parent or the only child in their home. Some people find they're happy where they're in their classrooms, or some are named after heroes. Some have names of light and smell and scent, and some are there are some rebellious people in our room today in this room. Some people wear the genes of their parents, and they're bold dogs, and share cultures that are not theirs necessarily. And many are smart and intelligent here, and so that's sort of. I just want to sort of give us an idea of who's in the room, who's here. Now, where to go here from now? Let's see. So I think I want to pair up. There are people sitting next to you and discuss. I'll stick with what I originally planned because this whole day has just been incredible in this discussion. So I'll just stick with what I have instead of changing the plans. I want to discuss types of leaderships, a type of leadership within your peers. So you and someone else, maybe most likely just two people, talk about what are types of leaderships or leadership coins. For example, I have in my examples here, we have different servant leadership, moral leadership. Now we're talking about the global leader, and come up with as many coins of these type of leadership, and then your group will report out to us, and we'll see where the conversation takes us from there. Okay? So, pair.
How many people are here?
Turn to the person next to you, and share. These are types of
I think like I have seen leaders like who are really ethical, who are really like trying to sustain the equality and checking if everyone is treated equally, if everyone is feeling fine in the workplace or in the education institute. I also see like the positive side of leadership, like just doesn't care about what people feel, if equality is sustained or how people are doing, and just checking institutes benefits, like what they can benefit as an institute, but not like to what people are feeling and doing, and then just showing like making displays run with like steering people or oppressing people, so they won't say what is going on in reality there. So I see these types of leaderships.
No, I thought about that. But I feel like it's not like just like I would
there are some different roles as leaders doing, we have a lot of budget schools, so we do fund the students and their people who need to manage what's going on.
What you have been saying is both are not ideal, I would say, to work with such leaders. I think like it's important to bring the money and use for what is needed, not like to, because also sometimes there are lots of money but then they're wasted, like I know, not they are not used for what really needed, but they are used for really unnecessary things, and then we are talking about development, equality, and resources. So it's not just, I was listening some years ago back in my master's studies, like, and the speaker was saying he worked for 7 years for the World Bank and different institutes in Europe. Like, there was money in the 60s, but now we have money, but where the money is spent? I think it's an important question, but also it's very important to know what people are doing, what they are feeling, what they need if you are working, but at the same time to be like very innovative, and then bring new perspectives and aspects. So I believe like being able to feel something like interest, like it comes from the inside, but I also believe that it needs to be shaped. just like because everyone can come and say I'm a leader, I want to do this, but I don't think everybody has. I see leadership as something to be learned, not just I want to lead this group of people and now I'm the leader. But really, those skills and competencies are needed to really do things.
How would you manage to develop that yourself from others? That means to develop experience a lot of I want to be involved in
I think both together, like experience.
Take 30 seconds to wrap your thoughts up. Sorry.
Getting feedback from someone more. Maybe we need those people who have been perfect leaders to share their lives if they're not alive, or sharing what they did so we can share and we can learn from them. I think like training is important, experience is important, but also feedback is important. Like, and I think like maybe someone monitored by someone, so we don't need these kings, queens like they say and they do, but also we need some kind of monitoring, like to evaluate us and say us, okay, change it because in your organization it's the same this. So I've seen also such organizations like they come to the table after a year and they say to their boss very open feedback, like I have done this and this and it didn't feel me good.
Let's come back in.
You know, and then it can be very heavy. Of course, like polite, but you don't have to say perfect. I love it.
Let's come back
So
in
I think such systems we
report
need.
out. So, I want to hear about what you guys have talked about in your peers, and again, it's a timing issue. We've got about 20 minutes left, so we're really trying to get a lot in this time. So, one person from each group sort of speak out, and as you wish, what came out of your discussion from your group?
Honestly,
Can you, Caleb? Then we'll go around in each group, just sort of what report out to the rest of us.
in short, we actually got into each other's names and a little bit of how names develop. We quickly covered in the last minute leadership qualities, human connection, sensitivity, having people who want to follow your belief, and then a type of community resonance because of that followership. So if you're spraying something that no one cares about, then you'll never be then you'll never be a leader, because you know, that's kind of like the fascist or dictatorship model, is that they're not really leaders. They're just following something out of their ego and out of their own self-interest. And when you actually have something that connects with more people, then you're really
I mean, that's good. I thought, can I just have one from each group? We're just going to keep it. Yeah. Next group.
You can go. So I asked Sook about leadership. She defined, without knowing what the emotional intelligence is, she defined the emotional intelligence. She said my leadership is inner and outer leadership, which is knowing yourself, leading yourself, then leading others. Yeah. So then I told her that it's exactly what emotional intelligence is, because I've been reading books about that. And to keep it short, then she asked me what I think about leadership, and I defined that there are different kinds of leadership. And then according to one of the articles that I read, and my type of leadership is the expert type of leadership, which is I know the field, I have the knowledge, and I lead. That's my bread and butter. If you take the knowledge from me, I can't lead anymore. Some people are strategic, they don't have the knowledge, but they can communicate really well. They're in the philosophical level. And so there are different types of leadership. There's no like one simple explanation of leadership. And then so expert level is what I see myself.
She loves your explanation so much to take a picture. Next group.
So I mean, we didn't get to compromise our opinions, but Lucio thinks a leadership is something that doesn't. A leader is someone who doesn't want to be a leader. That is his definition.
That's deep.
Yeah.
We'll have to unpack that later.
Yeah.
Is that?
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to talk? I mean, so what I think as leadership is, I believe everyone already has leadership inside of them, and if they can lead themselves to the world, I think that can be a leadership that can change the world.
Okay. Next group. Thank you.
So we talked about what it is that a leader principally has to do to accomplish his tasks, and we identified that Well, first he has to be able to identify the needs of individuals, and some of the ways he does that is through sharing his own story or narrative, whether it's for a community or an individual, to highlight what it is that those people are seeking to resolve, to inspire them to act, to respond to that in a way that will create a solution, but also in a way that does not create a dependency upon the leader, so therefore empowers them to do so in a way that can be self-sustaining.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you guys are in a group. So we struggled with this actually because there's so many. We decided that there's so many types of leadership depending on the field or the group. Like if it's in a school setting, a government setting, an enterprise, a lab. So just different types of leadership there, but always the common theme might be like collaboration, the decision-making process, recognition of opportunity, and facilitation of some sort. And it also truly depends on that individual to like how do they make it their leadership process and how do they cohesively lead a certain group, depending on like if it's the individual or if it's group, community, or if it's like company or group, organization-wide. So.
Thank you. Next.
We talked about different types of leadership. So from the inside comes within. We talked about leadership that deal with ethics, equality, sustainability, healing, something like that. But from the outside perspective, it deals with finance. People, leaders who can bring a lot of money to fund a school, and so on. And then we talked about how to develop leadership, and she said that leadership is something that we can train, we can develop. So we were talking about how to develop the leadership through education and feedback, monitoring, and so on.
Thank you.
Okay. So we talked basically different types of leaderships as being tested. We divided into like educators, big chunk of the leadership group, entrepreneurs, doers, visionaries, and politicians. We're gonna talk about like entrepreneurs. So we have people who just do it, they love it. They would love to bring benefit for other people, and they have empathy toward other people. And then we have serial entrepreneurs who just want to start the business. That's just what they love. Steve Jobs, they started and they sell it, and then they start a new one because that brings thrill to their lives and they thrive on it. And we also have problem solvers who see a problem in the world and they're trying to solve it by creating different companies, bring revenues and keep it sustainable. And we have, so we talk about educators, we have policymakers, administrators, we have those sages who just want to educate people for the sake of it. And, whenever you're lost in your life, you go for them and they tell you something like Dalai Lama, even though he's a debatable person in China, but and then they also, most important part is the educators in the single classroom. That's the first hand they pass on their experience to students. What they just started the United Classroom is the first leadership for the global education. So I think for like everything in everything, leadership is someone who creates a void and make other people feel impulsive to fill in. But the incentives could be for themselves. So those people who are hungry for powers, they will do it anyway, because that's how they validate their self-value. And there are other people who just want to do it just because they see everything in a global base, and then they want other people to live a better life than how they do right now.
Thank you. It's complicated. So
kind of
we
goes with someone who's
and I'm sure. So as you can see, that we're already having trouble talking about leadership in 40 minutes, and we don't. I feel like none of us know what it means. We talk about it a lot, but we don't know what it means. And so we didn't get to talk about anything because we're typing. But so that's good. That saves us time there. So I want to get your permission. Can we go 10 minutes over?
Yep.
Yes.
Can we keep going? Okay, because we're sort of already on the mark here, and I want to respect our time. So very complicated, very different trajectories and perspectives. One of the things I was thinking about as I got the call from Sue and Chong is I hope out of this time we could at least come to a place of understanding our narrative and our story. A little bit, we started a little bit with that. And then also live with some working definition of what we think leadership is to us. Quickly, I want to propose this definition of leadership that has guided me for the past 2 years. I took classes in organizing at Harvard, and then with this faculty, Marshall Gans, and it took a moral leadership course. As you guys pointed out, so many types of leadership. So let me propose this as one definition, just a package definition of leadership. Leadership is taking responsibility for enabling others to achieve purpose in the face of uncertainty. Someone talked about expert leadership. So where you already know what to do, Marshall says that that's not leadership. In a sense it is, but but in the face of uncertainty is a key. So I'm gonna stop there because I don't want to talk. I want to go back to our pairs and take this time just 2 minutes to discuss this definition of leadership and how it relates to you. Think about yourself more. Some of us did go deep and sort of think about ourselves. Others went a little global and larger. So sort of bring it in, localize it to yourself. Look at this definition, pair up, and talk for about 2 minutes and come back again and go around.
Are we talking about good leadership or just leadership?
That's a problem too. We don't have time for that. No, you're right. So this comes up. So what are we talking about? How do we define this? We're talking about, yes, allow yourself to go in whatever direction. But I hope it sort of relates to you, yourself, and your work that you want to do in the future. Why are you doing? Yeah, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you here today? What is your...
Should we use the same pair or different pairs?
I would like to switch up, but we'll probably stay in the same pair to build off of what we've already learned from each other. So take about a couple minutes. It's 11:52, probably 11:55, maybe 3 minutes. You can keep her. She's good.
I really like it because it's also like ethical. Because not just I say, as I gave you the example, like like I know two examples, the others not. So I feel very nice and liberating. Take the responsibility. I'm responsible for all the people that I'm working together, from their well-being, from their achievement to things good. And also, like, uncertainty is important because our world is so uncertain at the moment everywhere in the world. We don't know what's going to happen 1 year later, 1 day later, with all economies and natural disasters and whatever. So I think it's important to, instead of causing more chaos, to like prevent and then open ways for people to see what they can really achieve in this situation. And not like I say what people should do, but also valuing their views and then elaborate it and that we work together, we do something together, that valuing everybody's ideas, what they feel.
What do you mean?
Working with
someone says you are in charge of 5 years in class. How did it happen? How did you come
maybe like they help each other, they work together.
What did we say in terms of
And what's just studied previously? Every day teaching to pass the exam. But if I
take 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
right now it's and then you also use that going on. That's why you call it
There's a lot of
In Japan, it's very prominent.
That's the vision of how we think about leadership.
I'm so surprised to hear about Japanese government corruption.
But always know where like the thread is going.
Just say wow, thank you so much for your rich and wonderful. So that's
I know you, I give you whatever is, and then you give it, I don't give her because I don't know her. Even she's better than I am. That works in
I don't want you to stop thinking about leadership. I want you to always think about it in relation to yourself. I want to go, this time, I'm not going to hold you to your groups. Just share, literally, I mean just what you've discussed, and anybody, so I'm going to open it up to the whole group. So share what you discussed in your group pertaining to this definition of leadership or whatever came out of your conversation.
Do you want us to go in order? Just make it
Just,
simple?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I think, so we were talking about how there needs to be a perfect intersection between being sensitive to like your populace, your congregation, like a sensitivity, and then resoluteness and like decisiveness. Like there needs to be a perfect intersection, because if you're too sensitive to everyone's needs, then nothing gets done.
Do you have an example of that?
30 seconds?
It's possible.
Maybe
Everything is possible.
You're running an organization.
Obama's
here.
first year.
No, your example. You're running an organization.
Oh,
You
an
have to be
example of like
sensitive,
specific.
yes, in your work.
Okay, so yeah, an example of this. Jeez, sorry.
We can come back to you
on the
and,
spot.
just
Maybe
say
later.
that. Yeah.
But then I think like the intersection needs to be like exactly, or the intersection is with decisiveness and resoluteness, because like you're actually not being sensitive if you aren't purposeful and like running towards like whatever the vision is, because at some point you lose people who are like, okay, like what are we actually doing? You're being too sensitive to this person, too sensitive to this person, too sensitive to this person. And so I think like the important point to take away is taking responsibility. You need to take responsibility for others to achieve their goals. So like obviously guiding, not pushing, but at the same time you can't just like, say, oh, you're.
Thank you. Any other? Thank you.
Are we going now?
No, go ahead.
Okay, because like I think what I want to say is like we have been discussing. It's important for a leader to take everybody's perspective and what they think and feel. I think, and then it's not like maybe being in a psychotherapist role to make everyone comfort or something, but then make everyone feel that their views are accepted in this community and they're valued, and not just think, okay, this is right, and then I exclude the others' views. I think it's not like a proper leadership for me, because in the long run, people might feel they're excluded, their views are excluded, and they wouldn't feel they're embedded to this society or this organization. So I think it's like what we would both really like, this uncertainty, because our world is so uncertain these days, everywhere in the world. Like we don't know what's going to happen with politically, economically, or with all the natural disasters we're having. So it's very important, but also what we really liked here is like enabling others to achieve purposes, not like I just get together two views and do whatever I want to do because I'm the leader, but also take those perspectives and elaborate them and make one thing, okay, that's what we are doing, and then give them like somehow initiative, like not just I say what I do, but also respect what those people are bringing. I think it's a real leadership, not just say I know everything is right.
Let's hear from others. Thank you.
So we talked about packing the future generation with the tools that they'll need to walk forward into the uncertainty of the future, and how we can do that through technology, education. But then we also talked about the roadblocks that you can encounter. I'm in a particular situation in my school where the person above me is against what I believe, and so learning how to ride the line where you don't get fired but you can do what you believe. Leaders are often rebels, and it's not just like, let's hear what everyone says and then synthesize it. There's often a little bit of a battle there, and I think that responsibility piece is doing what you believe in, but also learning how to gain the social and hold the social capital that it takes to have the respect of your community and the people who give you a paycheck and let you have influence in the world if you're not your own boss.
Others?
So,
Oh, sorry. You want to go? You can go.
first, what we agree on is whenever there's time of uncertainty, there is a great demand for great leaders who can take responsibility. And second is, I mean, in times of uncertainty, you can either wait to see the change happen, or you can be the change agents. So great leaders usually choose the second one. They take initiative, just like organizations like United Classroom. I mean, now in the education, technology, this one, they just proactively taking the lead and hopefully to make some change.
So what we discussed was, Sook mentioned that there's the purpose and there's the planning of it. So that's the strategy, that this is where we want to go as a company or an organization. And Sook mentioned that along the way you can change your mind. It doesn't have to be boxed, it doesn't have to be static. The execution of the plan could lead you to a different end. So it's not like you want to go to New York from here. On the way, if you notice that New Jersey is a better option, you can change your route. So it's like a dynamic leadership, dynamic strategy towards a better purpose. So how I took that description of leadership is, as we said, there is no perfect description of leadership. I like the portion that says changing towards purpose. That's the part that I like. And the part that I wouldn't 100% agree is the uncertainty. Sometimes there is no uncertainty. Everything is, clear, but you still can make a difference. Let's say you are working in a company in a saturated environment and in a perfectly competitive environment. Everything is known, but you can still make some leadership and change things. So sometimes some things are not uncertain. They are certain, but you can still do some leadership there.
Okay. For ourselves, I think we confronted the question, or the reality that leadership is not on a pedestal or behind a podium. And I think, I don't know if some of you are familiar with the Spider-Man quote, that with great power comes great responsibility. That's right. Well, we are often in denial of the fact that we are all ourselves leaders, and yet many of us mention that we have siblings, or at least people that we interact with on a daily basis, and we have actually a great degree of influence on and power over in influencing. And really, the quality of a leader is determined not necessarily by something monumental or great, but really by the level of sort of accountability and responsibility that we take in our actions in those influences with others. And so really, when we think about that, it's not that leadership is an end in itself, but a means into something greater that we hold responsibility for, and the way that we hope to consolidate and achieve consensus in the community that we're trying to organize and help support, and take responsibility for, as opposed to thinking that it's something that you develop a point where you're ready to become a leader. Because I think it's more of a responsibility that we all have, as opposed to a sort of privilege or position that we seek to achieve.
Okay. So we have 7 minutes left, and so I want to go into evaluation. I'm sorry I'm jumping so fast, and there's so much rich discussion here. I want to sort of go into an evaluation and let everybody, some of us have spoken, some of us have not, get to say something. We're going to sort of take away in very simple statements what you've taken away from this time. And if the whole group doesn't mind, we could even talk about the session before our time. So we're going to see what we learned, and we can give this back to the leaders of this gathering, and use this as a jump-off point to help with the next seminar. So in this discussion of leadership, if you'd like to touch back on the previous discussion, what are takeaways that we've had? The takeaways, just 1-2 words, just popcorn, go through the group, and everyone's welcome to say something. Takeaways in your time. What struck you the most in our time together? What bored you the most? What were things that you didn't agree with, or what were takeaways, or things that helped you?
Today, I was really impressed from Leah and Zach, how they achieved in a very short time such a big thing. That's what I've been taking away today.
Big thing, short time.
I want to say that see the example of the possibility.
Example of? Speak up.
Seeing an example of possibility.
And just to add to that, the possibility of us being able to collaborate and learn and grow from one another in such a short time period, but in such an enriching way. It would have been impossible if we simply came in here and took an exam on like all of the different things we're writing individually, right? It's a social collaborative sort of effort that made it all as productive and fruitful as it was.
Okay. Others?
Synergy.
Synergy. What's that?
It's like a creative moment that everyone opens up themselves
Creative
and
moments.
inspire each other.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, when Leah and I got on a bus yesterday in New York, and like we waited in lines at Greyhound, and you know, with everything's going in New York, we were like, wait, what's going on tomorrow? Like,
Uncertainty.
there was why are we going? Like it just there was like, you know, there's a lot that's going on, and we just really trusted Sook when we met her, and we said yes. We just said yes. We didn't, you know, that's kind of our philosophy. But why are we going to Boston? So we it really it's become very evident why we're here, and something that I'm really moved by is because we hang out with elementary school kids a lot, and you know, sometimes not so inspiring adults, I'll admit. I'm just really moved by like the common vision in this room for global education, and I would actually like choose to come here like weekly if I could to hear your thoughts and be moved, because for me, like we're doing this kind of in a vacuum because not a lot of people like get it, and I feel like you guys get it, and I'm just really, it moves us forward to be in this room.
Thanks for sharing. Others that haven't spoken up in the last few minutes.
Inspiring.
Inspiring. Others.
Community.
Community.
I feel well challenged as well as inspired by the great minds and the hungry hearts in this room.
I'm gonna jump down. Thanks for the talk and go up a little bit more. Let's talk about sort of things that worked well in our time together, in sort of the facilitating the whole event. What worked well?
Coffee.
Coffee worked well. I'm serious. What else?
Timing.
Timing? What do you mean timing?
Like you keep everyone to a certain time,
Timing,
so we
okay.
don't waste time.
I appreciate the feedback about need to have longer time, shorter time. I was learning it. You said something, being able to not know what I was going to do at this time, but having people feedback even in the process of it. So I appreciate that. Yeah. What others? What worked well?
I think breakout and self, like we were all here as people and we were held accountable for that in the format of the conversation.
Breakout and self. What other things?
It was a small group, so I think everybody had the chance to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So we shared ideas. It's a collaboration thing for leadership.
Caring and diversity, the fact that we had individual interaction with someone else, but also just the diversity of this group that came together was really awesome.
A couple more things. Two more
I think
things.
the expansion of the platform truly inspires us, and I think we are more motivated to educate people for global leadership.
Expansion of
the platform, web platform.
Okay.
Of this.
Okay. Okay. And okay, let's stop there. Deltas. What are there rooms for improvement in this time together, in this day, in this? Where are there rooms to improve? Where's there room for improvement in our time together?
Longer time. We need
Yeah,
more
time. Time is always an issue. Yeah. What else?
Well, I would say plan Bs and organization. I'm not saying it's disorganized. It's just, are there ways to improve the organization? And plan Bs, what I mean by plan Bs are you come in with one agenda, but you have a second agenda when you recognize that the time constraints have changed.
Thank you. Plan B. Others. It's okay to share.
Good job.
Not enough light during a daytime meeting. Seriously, I'm being very serious.
Not enough light.
It's like, this is weird. It's the middle of the day and it's dark.
Some things we can't control, some things we can.
I think ways to be able to share and continue in collaboration and communication. I think afterwards, but even almost during, and I think it's kind of tricky, sort of difficult problem, but because you know there's so many notes that we had a chance to make and create, and I think just ongoing discussions that we feel like are never really finished.
So sum it up.
Continue to explore.
What could get better?
Spit it out, Keith.
Sharing notes.
Sharing notes. Thank you.
Well, to follow up what he said, actually, is a place to follow up from this. If we don't want to stop, where do we go from here? Is that already
Where do we go?
thought about?
Email direct.
So it's 12:09. I asked for 10 minutes.
Google Docs.
And we're really there. So I just want to thank you guys for this time. I'm sorry that we have to rush through, but I really got a lot from a short time. Sometimes that pressure and that sort of boundary can also help us get a lot from our time together. So thanks a lot for sharing. Thanks for being open with your time, and I hope that you do continue the conversation. It doesn't stop here. And also, if I were to continue this time in my own feedback, I would want to hear about your personal struggles with leadership. Your personal stories about how you have overcome, because we talk generally globally and talk very largely, but if we can sort of bring it back to, coming from New York here yesterday, how did you overcome that? How did you sort of move yourself, the values that drive you to pursue the visions that you have? So that'd be my feedback if we to have this conversation again or continue into our own personal stories and narratives. So thank you for this time, and Sook.
Or LinkedIn group?
We have Facebook page.
Yeah, so Facebook and Twitter. You can find it on the top of the corner of our website.
Who doesn't use Facebook and Twitter?
What's that?
So
if I don't use Facebook and
How
Twitter,
about
like me and Sarah,
LinkedIn?
we don't use it. So
You can
text. Just text.
or email.
We're
So,
gonna send you text.
Thank you very much for your time and effort, and your energy was awesome, and I'm so impressed by you. So next week, again Saturday, we will just strongly talk about the policy. How can you support? How can you get the support from the policy, and getting better understanding of the policies. And the next one is going to be Skype conference from San Diego. There's a school called High Tech High, and he's going to introduce the curriculum of the High Tech High, which is very innovative education. So I really want to share with you that. So another thing I want to talk with you is about the time issue. I mean, not the time, the length, but since it's a Saturday, 9 o'clock in the morning, are you everybody comfortable with that, or do you think it's better to move it? Because we are kind of flexible on that.
I like
I also like 9, so I can
Yeah.
spend the afternoon with working.
Otherwise, they're gonna spend time sleeping.
Okay.
What's wrong with that?
So, all right, so we keep 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I would expect you to come back, please.
Sure.
Next week, 9 o'clock. Don't be late.
Do we leave our email somewhere?
Oh, yeah. I
I
have.
have a list of the email address of you guys. So
Yeah.
if you want to share your email address with others, we can distribute
Right.
next time. You
So
guys
I have all of your emails. So if you don't mind, I can share with you, and also yours and some of yours too.
Thank the organizers. Thank you guys for doing
Yeah.
this.